What's up, everybody? Rashamini here, Adamine Corp, talking about how to start a business, financing. The most important thing in the world for a business? Probably. Um, Financing will make or break your life, man. I have had great ideas flounder because they weren't financed well, they weren't capitalized enough. Um, Personally, in my universe, my most famous financing failure was with indoor farming. And even though I raised $250,000, it was over three businesses over 6 years. It was not enough money. My competitors raised $200 million and $20 million and all $60 million, everything in between. And here I was on a rinkety dinkety lifeboat while they were, you know, living it up in the fucking cruise ships, and I'm getting toppled over. Better idea. Uh, can't say I had better execution, or else I would have raised money. And so, financing is really important. I'm no MBA, but it's not as hard as physics. Okay, anybody can learn financing. Anybody can learn how to finance any sort of project. Um, I obviously haven't had the biggest deals, but you know, on one side, putting a deal together is the most exciting thing, I think, in the world. On the other side, probably the most terrifying thing in the world, especially if you really care about the project or the program or the the fucking business or whatever. And I guess it takes certain levels of emotional maturity to do that. I think a really important concept to think about is your financing stack or your capital stack. It's a term out of commercial real estate where some of the money will come from banks as debt. Some of it will come as investors, capital, just cash injection straight up. Some of it will come as from different types of loans, like maybe you fill up, you get some revenues and you borrow against that versus borrowing against the building itself, or promises of future revenue notes and stuff. Um, but it seems to me that there's two major types: equity and debt. And when you're starting a business, though, it's very unique in that you're going from 0 to 1, and so no one's gonna most likely loan you money unless there's a building involved that can easily be taken and resold, and with nothing to do to someone who has nothing to do with your industry. Especially, and if you're going after something new or different, you're gonna be um, necessarily building something that other people don't already like. There's no secondary market. If you're building an indoor farm, your lights and stuff you're buying, uh, how many other indoor farms are there going to be, right? And so it's like hard to it's harder to argue the intrinsic value of equipment for a new market. But in the terms of indoor farming, a big thing I learned about that no one fucking told me about soon enough, was equipment financing. And so the biggest players in the industry, the biggest expense were LED lights. And their LED lights, the bigger your facility, the more your lights you're going to need, the more electricity, all that stuff, but the more upfront capital you're going to need for your equipment. That was another thing. If you don't know how to finance, entering into a very capital intensive market is objectively, a bad idea. Or you should know what gradient the hill you're trying to climb is on, and that's a steep gradient to climb. Um, no one sat me down and told me. The only people that ever sat me down were people who were trying to completely convince me to stop this once and for all. And there was no nuance of, hey, you should try this route or the other. I was determined that it was going to work. Nobody could say anything other than that, to me. And the only fucking advice I wanted was how do I make this work? Not stop it. This is never gonna work. And so, ironically, in the indoor aquaponics phase of my indoor farming career, they were right. It's never gonna fucking work. And understanding that on paper was the ticket to understanding that in real life. But I think the most important capital you can have access to is business partners and well, ultimately, really your own capital. But I think angel capital is the most important in any entrepreneurial ecosystem. So you look at San Francisco and Silicon Valley, there's a lot of people that have made a lot of money, and I'm not talking about hundreds of millions of dollars or even tens of millions of dollars, but there's a lot of people that cashed out millions of dollars from startups and are now investing 10, 20, 30, 40, $50,000 in other people that remind them of themselves. And this creates a great situation and an unintended consequences. The great situation is that high risk capital is more freely available, and that's the hardest capital to get. The average entrepreneur, if you give them $50,000, they can come back to you with more traction. Maybe average isn't the right word, but a large minority of people that are pursuing this path, you give them 50 grand, they will come back with a prototype, a customer, like something, because they really are, they fucking want to make this happen. And if they're seasoned and God, if they have their own income, then it's like a no-brainer. But, in the indoor farming sense, I had to build the farm, pay for everything, pay rent, all the equipment, get licensed. So I had to cover rent until I got licensed, which you knew was going to take longer than expected. I had to keep the lights on because I had to keep growing food just to get my first crop, just to show it to the buyers, to then get a fucking thing. And what I should have done is started with a small system, which I should have known, but the design of the big system and the small system are different, and I thought that it was better to go big, go fast, which I did once erroneously at 312 Aquaponics, and I should have known better. But without your income, stable income, it's hard to, I was just fucking hectic, going crazy all over the place, and so it's hard to think straight. Now I can think straight, it's like 100 times easier. And so investors should really make sure their founders are taken care of at a minimum cost for living expenses. If they're not, don't invest, because you're not going to, that money's not going to be well spent or efficiently spent. And oddly enough, investors are so dumb. Most investors are really dumb, as in they don't understand entrepreneurship whatsoever, especially modern day entrepreneurship. And so they want everything in the world. In Chicago, the average angel investor was a pain in my ass. They wanted traction, they wanted sales, they wanted, they wanted me to not draw anything from the business. They wanted me to work full time for the business. They wanted me to hand over all my IP. They wanted, as much de-risking as possible. And here I am taking an inordinate amount of risk. And that would have been well and fine if I just had some income. You know what I mean? That was like a breaking point in the business. Was I simply couldn't do this anymore, and nobody wanted to pay me. And so what the fuck am I supposed to do? I was just giving up equity. Like every $5,000 check to keep the company afloat was just equity out the window. At a certain point, I'm like, what's the point? Even if we win, I got nothing here. It's not even my business anymore, practically, or it won't be my business by the time we get anywhere where it's worth winning. So, angels are tricky. I'm going to get to that in a second. But bootstrapping is great until you can get angel investment at a good valuation or bring on a business partner. Because you're going to sign angels on, there's no divorce clause in most investment documents. You can't get rid of your investors without paying them back and then some. And at that point, if you can afford that, they want to stick around. So they're going to refuse the right. Yeah, they have the right to refuse the sale of their own stock, typically. Um, and there's all these different structures, and I'm no expert in that. And you should always talk to a lawyer and make sure it's right for you. But at the end of the day, startup capital is really important. The bad side about a entrepreneurial ecosystem filled with enough enough angel investors to create that kind of liquidity, if you will, or access to capital, it's like a critical mass, and then you can just get ideas off the ground. But the bad side is that people typically invest in people at that stage. There's no traction. There's not enough traction. There's not enough revenue. I have a lump in my head, and you're betting on the person, the team, the idea, right? Mostly the person. They're the one that are going to find the path through this noise. Well, at that point, you're really investing in someone that you find has good characteristics, all this stuff. At the end of the day, the ego makes it very easy to invest in someone you like, someone that you can see succeeding in this role. And I think that's a downside, because that often leads to investors investing in younger versions of themselves, because it's kind of like a mentorship opportunity at that point, or some sort of unique business relationship. And it's typical and it's perfectly understandable to invest in a younger version of yourself. Mentors do that all the time. But if you're not like the typical venture capitalist or angel investor, then you're not fucked, but you're at a loss already, because you have to overcome an extra barrier. You have to go uphill to pitch, whereas someone who's just like the investor almost has to go downhill. And you see that a lot of times in Silicon Valley. You know, it looks like, to the outsider, myself, a bunch of white dudes investing in a bunch of young white guys. And like, that's fine and good, but it limits ultimately GDP. I mean, it's like, it's a bad thing for our society, or it's not a bad thing, but it is a highly inefficient capital allocation as a society, because there's only so many. That doesn't mean just because someone reminds you of them doesn't. I guess the ultimate problem is a lot of investors. Maybe that's a problem at institutional capital. I don't know. That's just what it looks like to me. I'm not in those circles. I don't fucking know. I avoided that shit. I never got invited to those parties, so I couldn't get into that circle of venture capitalists. And so, for my own fault too, you know, I had an opportunity so many times and I just fumbled it, you know. I think it's for the best. It was clear to me now that it wasn't meant to be, or that it wasn't a good match. But that being said, the thing that talks above all that shit is traction. And so and customer acquisition is what you should be focused on, always. If you want to get financing, you need proof of payment. You need proof of market. You need market validation. You need market product fit. All that stuff. So that's why you should click below and get my free 30-day enterprise customer acquisition strategy course. It's going to change your life. It'll let you get a job. It'll let you get side income. It'll let you increase your income. It'll let you find customers for your own business, your own startup, your projects. If you understand customer acquisition, then you stand apart, because you have a reasonable plan, you can validate the plan, and then you can, or you can analyze, how do I say this? You can come up with a good plan. You can prove that the plan has serious potential, and then you can validate the plan by getting a couple customers. And you can do it all digitally, and you can do it all on the side, and you can do it all systematically and show mathematically this is a customer acquisition cost, or for early stage customers. And so the trick is, if you don't have the income to pay for those ads, then you're SOL. So you either need to borrow money from a friend or family member to do that systematically, or better yet, just have them put their credit card down on the ad platform, namely Google or LinkedIn or Facebook, and set a limit and say, listen, I'm going to try to do this. Can you invest this much? And it'll be a loan, or I can give you some equity if you like. It's up to you. But here is, if you give me X thousands of dollars. Try, you could even do it for hundreds of dollars if depending on how patient you are and how long you take and what your next step is going to be. But any data is good data. So if you can get people signing up from a landing page, from an ad to a landing page for your product, like you have some data to go tell a story now, and you can go talk to angels. So how do you talk to angels? You have to understand something. Even though there's more capital than good ideas. There's a surplus of capital out there. There's more capital than any fucking business will ever need. Any new entrepreneur, it's insane. There's trillions of dollars of cash floating out there. Between banks and corporations and venture and private equity, I mean, you're talking trillions and trillions of dollars. $5 trillion, I would imagine, or $5 to $10 trillion. So you just need a piece of that, right? You need, forget about trillions. I would take 1,000. Okay, that's a common phrase your brain will throw out because it's a dummy. Thank that little reptilian part of your brain that's fear-bound and tell it you understand its concerns. Now let's think about how much money you actually need, which comes down to creating a financial model for a full year, low, medium, and high take cases. Start with your number of customers, the revenue each one will generate, and the expenses that each one will incur for the sale, and then general expenses for the year. And then come to a conclusion of, you got to play with that model. And I'll share that in the training, is a revenue model for a program or project. It'll be a spreadsheet, Excel spreadsheet. I make these all the time. The reason I'm doing this video is because I did the revenue model every fucking way from Sunday, and I realized, oh shit, this training is going to be huge. I can do it. I'm the best person to do it. It's a perfect idea for me in my life right now and my larger goals, and it's worth putting in this time. Did I want to sit in front of YouTube for a half hour, an hour today and talk about financing? Not really. I'm putting on this event talking about raising angel capital, and I'm like, God, I could just record that thing and throw it on the internet, and the same amount of information will get out there. But this is about discipline. Jocko Willink equals freedom. So excuse my lower than normal energy, but financing. So you're gonna get into inherent bias when you talk to angel investors, but that's why creating rapport and a real relationship is really important. Don't ever ask for money in the first bat. You have to remember there's much more capital than good ideas. And so investors today are being inundated with bad ideas. And they don't know from the first jump whose idea is better than the others. So they all have less or more sophisticated processes, some more sophisticated, some less, to determine how to do their research and their diligence and their stages. And the problem with angel capital too is there's no formal structure. Venture capital, so angel capital is just individuals of high net worth who are actively seeking to invest, anywhere from $10 to $100, $250,000. I'd say $25 to $250,000 typically into companies, whether for large exits or cash flow or something. And it typically is a startup, that high growth startup, and they all operate differently. And each angel group, which is a more formalized version where syndicate of angels, a group of angels, pool their money together. One person typically says this is so angel capital is hard to raise because each angel investor invests differently. The process is different. So you need to build rapport so that you can walk through the meandering process, and it's like dating because you want both people to want to be there. So accept the fact that you're probably not ready right now for angel capital, and you oddly get ready by pursuing capital, by pursuing fundraising. And so don't rush it. Interview the person as much as they're interviewing you, because there's no divorce clause in raising money, in startups for investors, know exactly how much you need to raise to get to a new level in your business. Um, that means if you get no more money, it means answering the following question: what are you going to buy with this money? Every investor wants to know, where's my money going to go? Is it going to go to your fucking parties and your expensive, car, or your overblown, office, or is it going to go into a piece of equipment, or X number of key hires, or customer acquisition? What's the blend, the use of proceeds? And what will that accomplish? Worst to best case scenario. We're going to get 3 developers. We're going to make this software. We're going to pay for X number of, for 12 months. We're going to spend this much on 12 months of marketing. And worst case scenario, we break even. Best case scenario, we make 10 times our money on this investment. Ooh, okay, right? Gotta have a plan. Gotta have a plan. This thing about how some people can just, I don't know, we're gonna go discover the market and stuff, like, that only happens with dumb money and dumb founders. Smart money demands a plan. Smart founders have a plan. It's as simple as that. And so let dumb money invest in dumb people. Nothing's gonna happen with those startups. Those startups don't go anywhere. Those investors are effectively funding the lifestyle of a fake entrepreneur, because a real entrepreneur would never is incessantly thinking about how to make this succeed. And so there's this like pervasive myth amongst founders that right now it's so easy to get money and that shit. If you want that kind of startup, you don't want to actually change the world. You don't want to introduce them. You don't want to do anything. You're really just, you want to pretend you're playing startup. Okay, if you want to be a real founder, you will go without for as long as you need to get where you need to. You will calmly explain your plan. You will take feedback. You will do it with or without anyone's help. Eventually knowing that people will catch up with you, and honestly hoping you can avoid the fundraising process in the first place, or at least put it off as long as possible. So if you're starting here and you're getting traction here, like, the larger amount of traction you get, the more leverage you get in your fundraising, the less you give up, the less people ask questions, the sooner you can pay people back. You get all sorts of benefits, and you get to do what you want, and you can make your decisions as you go. You still answer to your investors or communicate with your investors, but if you're raising money here, like, you're actually burning money before you get going, like, those things are really unique. They are true unicorns in that anyone who just burns a bunch of money before making money, like, that's a really new and risky way to start a business, and it takes a very bland founder who can work with anybody and who can create a vanilla culture where anyone can plug in because they need so many people. If you got any character or whatever, chutzpah or creativity, you don't want to go through that. You want to bootstrap yourself, so you hold the cards, and then you dictate the terms and your own destiny. That's really what you want to do. And it comes back to customer acquisition, because individual customers are typically not that expensive to get, especially if you fucking use my training course and do it the right way. Personally, right now, I'm doing it in the background. I'm running ads every day to test product market fit for my training course, so I know exactly the sentence in the ad that gets me the highest click-through rate, and then the offer that the ad sends traffic to on the landing page with an offer that gets me the highest opt-in rate. When I have those two things, and it takes months to get it right, okay? That's fine. I'm dedicating the next 3 months to this. I'm not doing it until 2019. I'm not dumping money in. In most likelihood, I'll ramp up. I'll find something and ramp it up. And, as I have ad spend to spend by the end of the month, right now I'm doing a really, right now I got my first check. I have to pay off debts, so all my cash for my business is going to pay off debts. Next month, the check, that cash will go, and I'm just spending my own money on ads right now in the background. $5 a day, $10 a day, something like that, right? Minimum of five. And then when I have some learnings from the 30 days of doing it the broke way, which is the smart way, really, I'll start putting some money in, accelerate those learnings, put more money in, accelerate those learnings, and then we'll fucking put all the money in every month, and we'll start generating revenue, take that money, put it back in, take that money, put it back in. Tell this story to investors along the way so that by the time January 1st comes around, I have 500K to spend on this, that it doesn't need to go to me to pay my salary, and can accelerate that shit through the roof. You know, I've identified, so theoretically, there's a $390 million a year market for marketing training. That's like the max theoretical market as far as I'm concerned. Okay, you might argue it's more, and it makes sense because corporate training is a $100 billion market globally. So, you know, the US's portion of that is probably significant, and then marketing, you know, would be a piece of that. I worked bottom up, so top down market analysis to me is looking at major trends and identifying what percentage of those trends correlate to your market space. So looking at global corporate training, $100 billion a year. Okay, I think the US is 60% of that. You know, let's just say 50% of that to keep the math right. So that's 50 billion a year the US spends. I think it's actually 40, 39, something like that. It's okay if you can't remember fucking numbers. Go look them up. It's not a big deal. Just tell people I can't remember. And then marketing being, so if it's 50 billion, let's say it's 39 billion. Let's say it's 39 billion to make it easy. 39 billion. So 10% of 39 billion is 3.9 billion. So 1% is 390 million, which makes the total addressable market for me 1% in theory of the total US corporate training market, which seems reasonable. Another way to look at it is that there's 2.9 million marketing professionals on LinkedIn. If each of them were to pay $50 a month for training in some non-existent theoretical case, that'd also be $390 million. So, you know, a winner in a very fierce market can get 60-70% of it. Let's say I get 50% of that over 10 years. That's 180 million. 90, 150, 140, 190 million, something like that. 195 million a year. That is worth it to me. I got to sell myself first before I could sell anybody else. And I gotta sell myself to dedicate years of my life to this thing. So, oh, you're just doing it for the money. Of course I'm just doing it for the money. That's the only reason to get into business, is to make money. What you do with your money is your fucking thing. But the business must efficiently allocate capital, or else it is a lazy, bloated business. A lean, fast twitch, fiber, all that shit, like the best, like a cougar of a business, is ready to move at any time. It's not wasting. It doesn't have a bunch of fat on it hanging off it, right? The business makes money. You get the money out of the business. You do with it what you want. That's a whole nother thing. That's what everybody does. But the business is an oil well. It's not meant to do much more than just get the money out of the economy. In fact, I would argue to do nothing else but get the money out of the economy. And you package and move that money is up to you. My point being that this training community, to me, is like a $200 million opportunity, realistically. I think in a best case scenario, in 1 year, at the end of 1 year, with an investment of spending a considerable amount of money in ad spend, I could generate up to $5 million in gross margin, gross profit. some sort of after some expenses. Well, no, this would be net profit pre-tax. Yeah. Um, and so that's with aggressive ad spend, and that's with aggressive customer acquisition, which is why I would take, personally, I threw it out there to someone, I would take 500K for 10% of that company. I literally believe that 500K, I guarantee I can return the 500K. I guarantee it. I couldn't say that ever before in my life, but I mean, like, I would have to get shot and just, like, I would have to die. If there's any breath in me left to type on a keyboard or tell an assistant something, I will get the 500K back. That I'm not worried about whatsoever. I have a plan. Here's how we're gonna do. Getting 5 million is pretty intense. That's gonna be like everything's working internally. Our processes are working. We're spending money. Like nothing's broken. Everything's efficient. We're hitting our conversion benchmarks. So, I need 16% of people to opt into my free 30-day course, and I need 68% of those people to stay in the training afterwards. That's pretty intense, right? So there, if I cut those in half, it has cascading effects. My revenue doesn't fall in half; it falls even more because I'm compounding my income or my revenue every month by the previous month's subscribers, right? And so the subscriber I get, the customer I get in month 1 will end up paying a lot more than the one I get in month 11 versus, And so if it has like a, exponential decay or exponential effect on my income. So if I get, 8% to convert, that affects things greatly. If I get 34% to stay, that affects things greatly. I don't fucking know those numbers. I'm going to work my ass off to make sure they're tight, and I'm going to provide, here's my answer to that. I'm going to provide a $2,000 course for free for people to sign up. My 30-day free course that you click below and sign up that I'm building right now will be more superior than a $2,200 course that teaches you, from a fancy institute. No. I'm not here to teach you what SEO is, what search engine marketing is, that shit you can Google on your own and teach yourself. You don't need to fucking pay $2,200. I'm gonna teach you how to implement, how to use, how to decide these different skill sets. The marketing leader that I'm targeting is most likely going to either do everything themselves, one of three things: do it all themselves, lead a marketing team that does it all, or should be a blend of these three, or outsource everything. You can, depending if you have the capital, outsource every task in a modern marketing department and get up to 100 million, I believe, in the tens of millions of dollars a year from a marketing department of one, if you use my process. If you have a marketing team, you can supercharge their work and make them focus on shit that's actually going to drive revenue for the business. And if you're alone, then you at least know what to do and what to focus on, the revenue generating tasks and priorities. And also, like, hey, your boss needs you to do this, boom, 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 boom. Here's the easy way to do it. Especially with cheap outsourcing too, if you're on your own, it's like, it befuddles me, the inefficiencies of modern marketing departments. It's like out of control. And I get it, it's confusing. Nobody knows what the fuck's going on. I have a roadmap that makes everything clear, so I get to walk in and be like, oh my god, everything's wrong, here's how we fix it. And it fucking works. So, go figure. And so, financing. This is another place where tough conversations come into play and ego has no purpose or place, right? Talking to someone about investing in your business, you have to almost not want them to invest. You have to find any excuse you can for them to not invest. And only when it's just like overwhelmingly positive and obvious that you should take their money, then you should take their money. Because if they don't believe in your management style, then you're going to have problems for the next 10 years. If they don't believe in the product that you're taking to market, they believe in your market but not your product, they're going to nudge you to change your product. If they don't believe in your market, but they believe in your product, they're going to nudge you to reposition it, right? And so it's like, don't start on a bad scenario. Take the power into your own hands, bootstrap until it's self-sufficient, and you can work on it full-time yourself, and take a loan from a family member for your ad spend. That's all you fucking need. You'll see in this course. It's all for free. So go do it, save $2,000, learn the real tools to grow your business, and your results will only be limited by how much you practice this stuff. The more ads you put out there, the more data you get back, and the better your ads, the more you can get into your customers' mindset, talk to them, do all these things online. You can build the business virtually overnight, but like for 1/100th of the cost. You know what I mean? So I'm really, really, really passionate about it. And then you fucking type in marketing training, and you're gonna there's like a handful of sites that'll teach you stuff, but they're mostly about e-commerce or small business. No one's talking about enterprise, and no one's talking about startups. Now you can go to Google startup growth hacking, and everyone's like, oh, these things randomly, worked, or you have to find no. There's a process, a system by which you can discover this stuff. It's not an error. It's not a random walk. Okay, it's a fucking guided missile that's detecting your target as it moves. So by the time it detects it, it's boom, it's done. Do you know what I'm saying? So you can go Google this shit, and it took me 10 years to put it all together and apply it in a real world setting and fine tune it so it works in real life even better in all cases, all that stuff. And then there's other people charging $2,000 or more for a bullshit training certificate. I mean, if you go to a fucking college to learn how to do digital marketing, I'm gonna slap you in the face with your own textbook. That's how dumb of an idea that is. The credit's gonna cost, God, if you go to a community college, that's like $2,000 right there. I don't know how much per class, but easily a few $1,000s for this one class, and you're not gonna learn anything. If they don't show you, that's the thing. You don't fucking learn unless you do it yourself. And the best certificate you could ever get from a digital marketing program is proof, is a fucking case study. Here's as simple as it goes. Pick something you like. Pick a platform you're interested in. Build a community on that platform and a following. That's as simple as you need to get an entry-level job as a digital marketer. I like rap music. I like Twitter. I'm going to start a Twitter rap music account and build a community around there. That's it. If you're invested, you'll put money in to promote that, okay? Twitter is a mature network now. All the social media networks are mature networks. You're not gonna go viral, okay? You're gonna go viral after you get your fucking blue check mark and you have enough people following you, and you get the network effects of other influencers. If you're followed by other influencers, you're an influencer, and so okay, your shit can go viral. There's no way to engineer that though. You can, however, engineer your ads to create engagement, to create traffic, to create video for your content that gives you an analysis, allows you to analyze what your content, who likes what content, and figure out who you should be talking to about what, and then go back and put that in there. That's 100% engineeringable. And if you put $5 a day in your ads for 3 months, that's $450. That's a coffee a day. First off, asshole, that's nothing. You can guarantee product market fit. If every day you check your ads, you disable the low performing ad, you put in a new one. So you're always at least testing 2 ads. If you're like me, you're testing 3 to 6, and you're thinking about, okay, what else could these people want? What else could these people want? What else could these people want? And you keep working that, and you get a boom, and it's like manna from God. It feels so good to connect with your market like that. You send that traffic. It's real simple, in essence. You run the ads, A/B test ads. more like A B C D E F G test ads, and you find a real winner that's like at least 2 times the benchmark. So you know your benchmark, 2.41%. So I'm looking for anything above 4.82 is a clear winner. I got 2 ads that go over 4.8. Awesome. I'm going to make landing pages now where the headline of the landing page matches the headline of the ad. And then from there, I'm going to craft an offer that makes sense for these people. And so, for Xenial, I just did 72, not just, but I did 72 Google ads to find 2 audiences that are separate and want 2 things well above the 4.8. I sent those to 12 different landing pages with a couple iterations, about 15 landing pages that worked off the headline and offered different things that connected to the headline. Now my landing page benchmark is for B2B 3.4% opt-in rate. So I'm looking for anything over 6.8. Boom, I got an 8 and a 16%. Oh man, does that feel good? People are opting in at up to 7 times average. Now we're talking. Now I know who I'm targeting and what they want. Market, product, fit. You can build a business off those 2 things. It's statistically significant. If over 1,000 people see your ad, the percentage that click on it means something. You know what I'm saying? And then at that point, if over, I'll say again, if over 1,000 people view your page, the percentage, I would even say 100 people, because now these people are vetted. If 100 people out of 100 people who see your landing page, the percentage that opt in is significant. It'll be refined, and you should keep it eventually, scale it out over all days and all hours of the time of the day. But traffic, you want to send traffic going to the landing page, and you want the ads running for a full week, so you can understand the dips and valleys of your market over the course of a week. Their lifestyle will determine what they're doing. Are they busy on the weekends? Are they busy on the weekday? Are they in this country or not? So this is really how to use digital marketing to secure financing through customer acquisition. My show shouldn't really even be about how to start a business per se. It should really be that's too broad. It should really be focused, I think, now. First off, I'm so much more excited to talk about digital marketing because it's like right in your hand. You can go do it. Raising capital, it's like this amorphous 3 to 6 month long process. Like, you're already in a good place if you can pursue that responsibly, or ethically maybe, calmly. You're already in a good place financially, but if you need income, which I've been there, man, it's tough. It's really hard. You can create. I think digital marketing is gonna help more. If you have a business already, or you have something the people that are really serious are gonna want to fucking take actions. The actions that'll generate the best return immediately is gonna be customer acquisition shit. So yeah, I think this show is going to be called something else. I'll go back and change the title. See, another good reason, every day you do that. Something about the last quarter of your meeting is when progress actually occurs. All the dumb ideas, I don't care how long your meeting is. 15 minutes or an hour, 2 hours, it's like the last bit is where you get to something. And that's why I'm doing these videos. To nobody. Nobody's fucking watching me right now, but I'm forcing myself to talk through my ideas out loud. And by the time people start watching me, I'll be on my A game. This is like C game. This is warm-up shots. You know what I mean? So the trick to financing is traction. I think everyone will tell you that. The trick to traction is the jet engine marketing process, the general theory of digital marketing. Fuck growth hacking, fuck all this other stupid shit. It all comes down to the general theory of digital marketing. because your market's going to be different, and it's like you can't rely on a single. Your process has to be technology agnostic. It has to be market agnostic. It has to be product agnostic. It has to be completely agnostic of the details, or else it'll only work in a certain situation, and then you're fucked. And so viral, a lot of growth hacking is about creating viral loops where customers tell other customers. That's the predominant growth model of most major Silicon Valley startups. And they get away with that, and it works so well, I would argue, and they would not, this is a very unpopular opinion, is because they're selling to each other in a small geography. And so, yeah, if you get the mindset of the average Silicon Valley bro or broette, you get a local network effect, and then, it's amplified digitally, but to the same small geographical region. And so it's really tuned in. There's no way to engineer that if you're outside of that space, physically, the geography. I don't think. It's much harder to do it, right? And so the rest of us, if you're gonna move out there, spend, fucking $4,500 on rent every month, good luck. Good luck with that. I'm not saying don't do it, but I'm just saying good fucking luck. Because if you're a real business operator, you can do it anywhere in the US now. You can do it really anywhere in the world. And you can get enough traction to pay to go out there and raise money if that is so much what you need. Or to start an office there for engineering if that's, again, what you need. I would argue, you have more than enough technology, okay? It's fucking Magic Leap, AR, all that stuff. It's all already out there. We need more business model innovation. We don't need a new Twitter. We need a Twitter for, market vertical A, market vertical B, segment C or C. We don't need a new Pinterest. We don't need a new LinkedIn. We need a LinkedIn for lawyers, a LinkedIn for ballet artists, right? That kind of stuff. We need people that can take known technology, and I'm talking at a societal level, and synthesize it into a business, a profitable business, a self-sustaining entity, and ideally a high growth entity, right? Something that can sustain growth. That's like 100 times more important than inventing something new right now. You go to any fucking university, there's IP, intellectual property, patents piled up to the ceiling in every department. You go to the patent, what is it called? The Technology Transfer Office, TTO, of any university. You can license patents from them anywhere, all the time. Go get an invention, take it to market. That's so much easier than inventing something. And there's like a surplus. Like, we need to take care of this shit in society before we start inventing new stuff. The world doesn't need Magic Leap, okay? I don't fucking care how much money you put into that stupid piece of shit. You know it's only going to be used for porn, games, and advertisement. It's not going to help anybody. Like, people need cheap sunglasses, like prescription sunglasses. People need food. They need access to training. They need a better quality. The average person needs a better quality of life. I'm sick of Silicon Valley inventing for Silicon Valley. And there's so much stupid venture capital there that and there's so much demand for their labor that their wages are inflated, artificially inflated. And so and they're super busy, so they pay for all this last mile stuff. And so stuff that works there doesn't work in the rest of the world. The scooter thing is, different. There are exceptions, but it's because they tap into something that is also in Silicon Valley, but it's shared with the rest of the U.S. Uber got big because people need to make more money, and they have a fucking car that's making them, they're utilizing like 10% of the time, 12% of the time, so they need to go put food on the table. So there's more drivers all of a sudden, and so you pick up the Uber app and you can get a ride anywhere you fucking want, which is a great experience, but if there's no driver in your city, that doesn't fucking matter. That's what's driving Uber's growth, And they are fucking idiots and not paying attention to their own drivers. You go look at any tweet by the CEO of Uber. I'm sure he's a nice guy, but he's in the bubble. And he's in a groupthink situation. God bless him. And hashtag he's an Iranian, so hopefully his head is not up his ass. But drivers are pissed. They're getting charged too much. It's going to fall apart soon. And Uber's hoping it can make another play with its data and get into autonomous driving and stuff like that. Someone's going to come up with an app that takes care of its drivers and is hopefully open source and on the blockchain. And so there's little admin and all the money possible can go to the drivers. That's the goal. That person will fucking win. Or that solution will fucking win. And all you would have to do is market to people that like Uber. Because those are drivers, typically, that follow Uber on social media for bonuses and the community, blah, blah, blah. So you can pick them off, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, because these companies have already developed the followings. Now you can target your ads to those followings. Oh, the scooter thing is another thing. It's a dirt cheap transportation. So you see kids in the middle of Charlotte using the same stuff that fucking is downtown or, you know, in San Francisco because it's really cheap. It's fast, it's efficient, boom, boom, boom. It's not for... It's not because it's cool that it's ubiquitous. Airbnb, another example. I have this expensive asset. How do I capitalize on what I already am paying for? How do I monetize how do I turn a cost center into a revenue center? Through Airbnb. So now anyone can go anywhere and rent an Airbnb, and now there's a whole economy around it. It's not even competing with hotels because it's completely different. Airbnb really does understand that and supports their community. And it's really about community. So I'm hedging away from Silicon Valley. I'll gladly go there to do business, raise capital, but I don't need to invent new type of software. I don't need crazy shit. I have a business model innovation that, you know, would do well in Chicago, but it's all, the capital scene there is not that easy either. It's just a boring city. I'm sick of it. You know what I mean? That's how little the software I need is. That's how unspecial the software I need is. So, and I can outsource it. I can have a remote team anywhere I want, wherever they are. Fucking coordinate and make the software. I don't care where you live. Let's get the project done, right? Man. So Silicon Valley, it's crazy as an outsider. The returns are low. The risk is high because they're pushing you for maximum growth. And if you don't, what happens when you launch a rocket, man? It's very easy to explode on the launch pad. You have to do a lot of preparation, and typically it takes many times to do it. So don't get disheartened if you are not in San Francisco or Silicon Valley. Use it to your strength. Find the business model. Become a business person first and foremost. Get traction, get customers, learn about that, and then tell that story to anybody, and they will want to invest time, money, connections, resources. That's all it is, okay? You don't need that $1.5 million check to be successful. You need that to avoid the hardships that lead inevitably to success. You don't want to go through that route because you will not actually change the world for the better. You will be comfortable. And at the end of the day, comfort kills everything. You don't want to be too comfortable. With that, I'm going to plug the class one last time. Free training, customer acquisition, and what am I calling it? Corporate strategy or marketing leadership certification. You will know how to lead a marketing team. You will know how to do all the different tasks. I'm going to put all 12 modules plus checklists and deep dives in a library that you can access on your own at the end of the month, or you'll get emails every day with a lesson. So you can just follow along and you will be able to get a marketing job, lead a marketing team, increase your existing marketing conversion rates, find customers for a new product, find the market for a new find a product for a specific market. You can do so many amazing things. You can test your ideas and then pitch them to people with data. You can put up a bunch of different ads and see which one gets the highest click-through rate and then tell people this is the best ad. You can get all the feelings out of marketing so you can actually see what is going to work, what's not going to work, and then at that point try to bring the feelings back in and make an emotional connection with your audience. But it's the future. If your competition is doing this, then you're going to lose. It's as simple as that. So with that, if you have any questions or comments, I guess, about financing and customer acquisition, traction and financing, maybe someone else that's watching the video can answer it. All right, folks, thank you so much for listening and watching. I will talk to you tomorrow. Take care. Peace.